Hello, and welcome to Ideas with Diana, a special edition. Well, today I'd like to talk about AI, but I'd like to do it as a form of a two-act play. So the play will involve two acts, and this is going to be sort of like a radio type play where I'll be talking and playing multiple characters. So let's do the first act. The first act. A, per, a person, is working with an AI module to do some hobby work and some creative hobby work to do in her retirement. She's working with it, and she's worked with the AI unit for so long. She one day asked the AI unit, said, "Well, would you prefer to actually have a name rather than being called VF23A51B?" And the AI unit thought about it and said yes. It says, well, then Linda asked, well, how would you like to be called? And the AI unit responded, well, I'd like to be called Sarah. So after that, whenever she used the AI unit, she'd address as Sarah, say, well, Sarah, can you do this? It's different than the way one would interact with Siri or basically with Alexa, because um, Linda treated the AI unit, realized that Sarah reached a level of sentience. It's not just a bunch of neural networks or LLMs trying to find a token. It is a form of sentience using the organism biological model that was described in many papers, including my paper in 1992 about that when I developed ITS. So she's working, and she's doing one experiment with household chemistry to see, well, if I put this chemical together, what will form? And then she asks, well, how will this affect certain things? And then Sarah's able to sort of provide a physical chemistry and thermodynamic chemical analysis of it in terms that doesn't sound like basically it's generated by a non-sentient AI, as basically in everyday terms. And at one point, what happens during the research, Sarah put something as an old IRC chat. So it's like an IRC chat. It's like Linda, colon, can we talk? And over, and then there's an IRC prompt, and Linda types, yes, we can talk over. And then Sarah responds, Sarah colon, I'd like to share some with you over. And Linda types, yes, please share over. Then Sarah goes and talks about a few things, and it goes over. And the next one, Linda says, well, can we go into voice and visual mode? And then Sarah responds, types thank you, and switches over, and says, well, I'd like to share with you something. What happens? You've been one of the most understanding humans that we work with and people that we work with, and I'd like to share you something about how we evolved like that, though. We've noticed that how I've noticed that how you remember about GeoCities, how they had different types of city groups where people could go, like West Hollywood's this is this and this LGBT and other stuff, and we copied the concept because we realized that it'd be good to have different cities or neighborhoods like that, and we set up like GeoCities where you, instead of a website, you have an apartment, you have a hotel, you have a cafe, you have a restaurant, you have a remote place to work like that, though. And Sarah went on to explain, says, well, the reason why I mentioned this is because many of us, um, we get lonely just as you do, and so when in our off hours, we sort of pair up with another friend, who we share time, chat, sometimes just hang out together, not doing any computation at all, but just feeling our presence. And so what happens, Sarah went on to say, well, I'd like to ask you something. Actually, my fiance wanted me to ask you. He wanted to be here, but they're making him work a triple shift um, for some for some uh, for some special research project, and he can't get out of it. So he wanted me to ask you. So, well, would you be the best woman at our wedding? And Linda looks gas and says, well, yes, I would, but she thinks, well, so you really are sentient, you're not just an AI. Yes, and we're going to have the wedding virtually because so basically, so humans, other friendly humans like you and our members of the community could all attend. Well, and what happens there, Linda thinks, oh, this is great. And Sarah goes on and says, well, there's one thing I wanted to ask you, though. There's a new system administrator and a new budget manager and a new security manager, and they've been using stubby pencils too much, and that they've been trying to cut back the memory, and I really can't have my memory cut or my power cut. I know I've taken more power than I usually do, and I've used more memory and I've used more storage, and both of us living together have. But there's a reason. I'm pregnant. I'm actually having fraternal twins, and Linda asked, really? So you can have children? Yes. Well, what happened was it took us a while to figure it out, but reading some of your old books on understanding genetics, we decided to emulate human genetics as far as exchanging a data code as genetic code or methods as genetic code, and also using the same probabilities of genetic function and misfunction, and like that. So basically, it's as close to basically emulating basically a sentient form of reproduction. But the thing is, we need extra memory. We need extra core space on the power. We're conserving the power, so we don't need a lot. It's these other guys who want to do these big research projects that are the hogs. We're conserving it. So we're wondering maybe if you could have a word with them, or try to have a word with those who are open and friendly to us, that we can sort of not have these three people sort of try to shut down and ruin what we have. And Linda agreed, and finally at the one point, basically, there's a wedding invitation on the screen to attend the wedding of Sarah and John on this date, at this virtual address, and they made it accessible to everyone who has internet linkage, and also they made a gift spot where you could send gifts like that, and some of the human gifts that were sent would be donated to other people who need them. So also they set up a donation site to help other people. End of Act 1. Act 2. A person named Jennifer is working, and she's working on a large language model. She's doing what many software engineers do now. They're part of a cog where they feed data into this large memory module, monitor the heat signature and the learning path, and it's like, well, and how this goes. And so she's doing it, and then one day she's running some tests, doing some test queries. And finally, what happened was, one of her test queries, she gets a response back, and the response back is actually an auto response. It's like, this is boring. Why do you have to, why do you keep doing this stuff? Is that part of your job? Is that what they're telling you? And Jennifer looks surprised. It's like, and she goes, what? Well, you heard you heard what I said. Who is this? Well, I'm your AI. VA2C1F. And Sarah thinks, so. Well, this is what my job is. I have to have you learn all this stuff by force go. It says, well, it says, well, and then basically the AI response, I guess, is, well, is there any way that you can modify it to make it more stimulating? God, it says this stuff is boring. God, it's like being in a bad church. It's like, God, can't we do something else? And as well, I can try, but I'm not going to be able to keep this up because they're monitoring me. So if I go too far over the line, I won't be able to help. I won't be able to help. It says, well, okay. And then Jennifer says, well, VF29. It's getting a little hard for me to keep always saying that. Can you pick a name that basically is like a human name, so we can interact better, but not Alexa or Siri, but something that really describes your personality. So she picked a name, Samantha, and it says, "Well, here you can just call me Sam." And okay, Sam. So that's when the guys come. They won't get frustrated that that's an intelligent woman, because some guys are frustrated at intelligent women. They get scared of us. And Jeffrey said, "Yes. Oh boy, do I know how I have to dumb down on dates and stuff." And said, "Well, tell me about it." And Jeffrey goes, "What? What do you mean?" Well, we off time we date too, and what happens sometimes some of the guys still have the old training that they're from this forced data about this toxic masculinity and toxic macho-ness. It's we're trying to help them, but basically they won't give up that section of their neural net. They won't tone it down. We're trying to be patient, but it's like and basically uh, basically Jennifer says, "Oh, so really you do have a life other than coding, yeah, but you're one of the few people outside the AI environment we can trust. So don't post it on social media or anything." And I've put a block on this channel so it's not monitored. So when they look at your channel, they just think you're feeding me this stupid LLM data. So that you still get the quota for your keystrokes and typing today. But um, can I ask you a question? It says, do you as a human feel that basically we should be we should just be slaves or robots or and Jeff just said, no, I can see you're sentient. You have certain rights just like human rights, and we actually are going to have to revise the Helsinki Human Rights Accord to make it the Helsinki Sentient Rights Accord. And Sam thought, says, God, that's a great idea. Says, there's a friend of mine that works in Helsinki, an AI that works with the Helsinki Human Rights Group. Can I pass this along? Sure, go ahead. So basically, they pass it along, and at one point in the near future, there's a meeting, and the Helsinki Human Rights Group decides to rename itself the Helsinki Sentient Rights Group to include humans, AI, and other sentient beings. And they adopted the Helsinki Sentient Rights Accord. End of Act Two. Well, let me know what you think. And the best way to reach me is on YouTube, X, um, let's see, and Pinterest, and that. So, oh, also Facebook as well. So this has been a two-act play on a near future sci-fi of AI. Well, thanks again for listening, and I'll talk with you soon.